Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you guys ask for it, you get. You like the layer 1 tier ranking. So we're going to do another fun one today. We're going to rank the layer 2 chains in order from S tier all the way down to ABCD. Is your chain going to be in D? Is your chain going to be in S? You'll soon find out. So yeah, we're not going to waste any time. Let's just rank all of these different chains. I haven't obviously got every single layer 2 chain, obviously otherwise I'd have like 50 chains here. But I have got some of the main ones, some of the ones that aren't so common, and some of the newer ones. Of course, by the time you're watching this, if you're watching this even in future, maybe you're watching this 1 or 2 months later, the ranking might be completely different. Things in crypto are dynamic and change all the time. So yeah, this is kind of just my thoughts and feelings for the overall chain, like the whole vibe. I'm not really talking about tokens, by the way. I'm not really talking about which of these tokens are going to pump the most. I'm talking more about the actual chain and ecosystem. Just want to make sure I've got that clear. So let's start off. Should we try and randomize the order a little bit, or should we just kind of just go for it from anywhere? Let's just pick and choose. Fine, let's go with mode because it's like right at the start. Brand new chain, like fairly new, just dropped a token. Very, very early days. I like the fact that they have incentives for people, builders. They share sequencer fees. They also share sequencer fees with people who refer, who like get referred into the chain. I like that they're working with Redacted and Ethena to enable native yields. Probably makes it even a little bit more degen than Blast, but doesn't give that vibe just yet. It's definitely not D. It's definitely not S. Probably somewhere in the middle for now. Let's see if they can, keep growing their TVL. I think it's like 500 million at the moment. So it's decent, to be fair. It is decent. And they do have some native apps like on mode as well. But yeah, it needs, let's see how kind of how things go. But I think that's kind of fair for what actually, from what mode is actually doing right now. I don't think you can put it any higher than that, but I think lower is probably a little bit harsh. X layer is like the new ZK layer 2 from OKX. Very, very new. So it's hard to even put it at this level. I'm going to have to put it at C. I think they've got a lot of money, haven't they? Right. So, and they've got good connections. So, I've already seen like the LRTs are going to be all on X layer. Some fairly big DeFi apps are already like deciding to move or basically offer X layer as a or offer their services on X layer. So yeah, I think probably will end up like going to B or maybe even A if they can really do something like what Base has. But yeah, for now it's very, very, very early. So I think it's hard to be extremely bullish on it right now, but let's see. Of course, Base I think has to go in S tier. Like it's one of the best L2s to be on right now, especially with everything going on with SocialFi. All the degens are on Base chain right now. I think there's lots of stuff to do there. Yeah, whether you're in DeFi and you're using Aerodrome or whether you're like doing SocialFi stuff on Vrentech, like it's hard to like not be active on Base right now. I think there's lots of stuff to do there, and they don't even have a token yet. Now, of course, I don't know if they're gonna have a token. They might not, but I think yeah, pretty bullish on Base actually. Next up, we have the notorious Blast. Blast has like definitely got a name for itself now. Definitely like the degen chain. I really like Blast actually. They do have like a lot of native apps. Everyone's having fun with fantasy or whether with some of the other kind of Ponzi stuff that we have right there. Some stuff is actually pretty good. Some stuff is really, really bad. You kind of get a mixture there. But I mean, if you look at Blast, like TVL has actually remained. It hasn't really shifted off. 1.5 billion, loads of like actual native apps. Yeah, some pretty good stuff. And what I like about chains like this is that if you look at chains like above 10 million, like if you look at chains like this, I should say, with apps, Blast is one of the Blast is one of the ones that has more than 10 million in many of these apps in terms of TVL. Now, of course, TVL doesn't mean everything, but what you'll find is that some of these chains like have like 1 or 2 apps that have above 10 million in TVL and like make up the majority of the TVL. So I like the distribution there. And you do get a wide variety. And there's lots on here that isn't even there. So yeah, Blast is pretty cool. And yeah, I think obviously a lot of people are farming Blast for points and for gold. Whether or not that continues to be the case, like post token, we'll have to wait and see. But I'm sure that there will be some extra stuff going on there later. So yeah, let's see kind of what happens. But I think Blast definitely deserves an A tier for now. I think the ecosystem is pretty well developed, and so far things have been good. Yes, there have been lots of rugs, but yeah, I think things are generally pretty good for Blast. Fraxtal, I'm pretty bearish on this actually. I think they're not really innovating too much there. Yes, they have this new incentive token called FXTL. I still am yet to really understand or appreciate what the value of it is. I think token holders are somewhat upset. They feel a little bit like they've been diluted. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. But it's hard to say that it's a thriving ecosystem. It's anything but that at the moment. So yeah, let's see. Linea is like raised like 700 million. So you know they have a lot of money. They don't have a good ecosystem right now. But I do wonder like whether or not this will change in the near future. I mean, like it's a tough one. Like it's definitely nowhere near the top. It's not near the bottom either, but I mean, maybe somewhere in the middle. I think Linea is still not great, needs a lot of work. The ecosystem is pretty poor. Maybe I put it in C or B. I'm not too sure where to actually put it. I'll just put it in B, but could easily be in C actually. Just needs a lot of work. But like they have the money and they have the funds, so I don't see why like developers won't go there if they get big grants, which I expect them to do. Optimism, definitely one of the better chains on here. I'm going to put it in S tier. Like Optimism have like some really good stuff, whether it's native apps like Velodrome, synthetics really have taken over Optimism. I think Optimism definitely isn't as good as, let's say, Arbitrum from an ecosystem perspective. But I mean, like, it still is pretty good. I think there's still plenty of opportunities. There's some pretty good stuff. And the OP stack, of course, is like one of the best things about Optimism. Most of the layer twos that we're seeing today are launching with the OP stack. I mean, some are with the Polygon SDK, some with Arbitrum as well. But I think Optimism certainly rules that. I mean, even Base is basically based on Optimism. Even Mode is as well. So yeah, I think you can't not be bullish on Optimism, and I think ecosystem wise, it's still pretty good. Yeah, definitely not as good as perhaps Base or perhaps Arbitrum, but it's still a good place to be in. I think there's still really good opportunities on Optimism all the time. I farm on there regularly. Ecosystem is good. There's new apps popping up left, right, and center. Yeah, pretty decent. Manta did actually start off really well. I'm off the top of my head, I think TVL has dropped like 70% though, and I really see how they're failing to. I struggle to see how they're going to really thrive. They do have like some accelerator program right now, but I haven't really seen too many innovations there. There's like a couple of DeFi apps that are like native on Manta that I've seen like people writing threads about and people kind of getting a little bit excited. But for me, I think it's still very early, and yeah, well, a lot of work remains to be seen. A lot of work needs to be done. Um, Mantle, I really, really like Mantle. I'm gonna have to actually put it in A, and there's a number of reasons for this. Number one, they've got probably one of the biggest treasuries in crypto today. They really push the products that they really want to do well, and they do it in such a good way. So METH being one example, you know, you earn significantly more eigenlayer points, and you get all these other ecosystem rewards. I think Jordy's doing a great job with the Mantle ecosystem at the moment. There's Puff the Dragon and loads of cool stuff that are there. And even like Mantle, they've been able to really integrate with some of these like blue chip apps like before any other layer twos have. So, for example, with Ethena, like Mantle's definitely like been one of the first to really get that from the L2 side. So yeah, pretty bullish on Mantle, and I think they're only going to continue to do good stuff. Their ecosystem is not as good as like the likes of Arbitrum and Optimism and Base, but I don't think they're that far behind. I think 1, 2, 3 killer apps, and it can be right up there as well. Next we have Merlin. Interesting one. This is actually like the biggest Bitcoin L2 chain in terms of TVL. Like for some reason, Merlin has been able to like attract a lot of whales, a lot of deposits. Maybe it's all in the name of farming. But yeah, I think so far the TVL has been fairly sticky. So I think Merlin does deserve some rewards there. In terms of ecosystem diversity, not the most diverse, not too much going on in terms of Merlin. I mean, we can have a look here. Look, you can see that there's like a lending market, a DEX, a couple of derivative stuff, but generally it's fairly small, very, very small ecosystem, with most of the TVL going to Solve. So yeah, I think it's hard for me to put it any higher than that for sure. It is early days, but so far, very, very good. 1.1 billion TVL. It's literally at pretty much all-time high right now. So yeah, that's pretty bullish. Let's see kind of if they're able to really grow a thriving ecosystem. But yeah, I think it would be a bit harsh if I put it any lower than that. Arbitrum, I've spoken about it many times. Very good ecosystem, one of the best actually. I think a lot of people who probably watch my kind of videos enjoy Arbitrum. You can do anything and everything on there. They probably are a little more DeFi focused rather than like Base, which is definitely more social fi focused. But yeah, I think Arbitrum is the place to be. Yes, some people aren't happy with the way that they've done their governance and the way that some of these short-term and long-term incentive programs have kind of come about. And of course, people are a bit upset at token price. But in terms of an actual ecosystem, it's hard to say that Arbitrum isn't a good place to be. Yes, like at times there isn't stuff exciting, like there isn't the most excitement around stuff going on in Arbitrum, but I think there's always something to do, whether you want to use some like pretty blue chip DeFi protocols or whatever. I think generally Arbitrum is a good place to be overall. OPBNB is like Binance's layer 2 chain. Not gonna lie, I think this is pretty terrible at the moment. There's like one chain or one app, I should say, that like has the majority of the TVL. Otherwise, not really seeing too much going on over there. I'm not sure exactly what's even happening in terms of development, but yeah, from an ecosystem perspective, it's definitely D for now. ZK EVM. This has really failed to get a lot of traction, like really struggled. And I wonder if at first like the high gas fees like really played a part. Now now that has obviously changed and transaction fees are significantly lower. I do remember like I did actually try ZK EVM right at the start, and I was paying like $10 a transaction. Of course, that is not the case anymore. I just wonder whether or not we're just waiting for the ag layer, and once the ag layer comes, maybe then like ZK EVM will be able to take off, like merging with like the POS chain. But that could be a while away still. So yeah, interesting to see kind of where this goes. I think ZK wise, like they have great technology. They say that they're ahead of most other teams by quite some margin, but in terms of like an ecosystem and like what you can actually do on ZK EVM, not so much right now. I'd like to think that that does change in the near future. Scroll is another ZK L2. I really like Scroll. They do have like a few. They were early to like getting a few like interesting apps on board, like Ambient, for example. Their TVL is like lacking somewhat. I don't think it's that high at the moment. 84 million, but it is like just gradually going up, but not really exploding. You do have the likes of Ambient and like Aave that have actually introduced Scroll. I mean, it's not really, really bad. It's not great either. I'd like to think that this does change as well. I think probably one that's a little underfarmed, especially when you compare it to like ZK Sync, which is definitely significantly more overfarmed. But like both of them don't really have a great ecosystem just yet. ZK Sync, little more TVL, but again, like nothing too crazy, nothing too interesting. You've just got DEXs and lending markets. Some of them are pretty decent. Maverick, for example, I like. But Investor Exchange is the one that's pretty hyped up as well. But I mean, in general, nothing too exciting just yet. I wonder if like this will change in the near future. I'm waiting for like when are we going to see like the likes of Uniswap, the likes of Aave, and Maker like really shift over to these L2s. Probably soon, but yeah, I think for now, hard for me to be that bullish on either of them. But I see the potential there. They've raised a lot. They've got big treasuries. They got big teams. They are actually doing a lot of stuff. But in terms of ecosystems and what you can actually do there, not that much, other than to airdrop farm. Stacks, Bitcoin L2. I'm not that bullish on it. I don't think they actually have that much that you can actually do on it right now. Mostly just a lot of hype. Yeah, it's actually more of a side chain than a layer 2, so probably shouldn't have even put it in this but I have done, so whatever. And lastly, we got Starknet. I'm actually a bit bearish on Starknet. I think they've got one app on their chain that's like got the majority of their TVL. Again, it's because they've like created like some lending stuff and some liquid staking stuff around the Stark token, which has a ridiculously high valuation and therefore has been able to attract a lot of TVL. Otherwise, I hate the idea of having to use a different wallet, and I'm just a bit bearish on Starknet. I think it's actually not that great of a user experience. Of course, that can always change. So don't be fooled if in like 2 months' time, Starknet is like the craziest new ecosystem because of like 3 or 4 or 5 new apps that everyone loves. Things can change very, very quickly in this space. So, yeah, those are just some of my thoughts. I'm guessing that some of you are going to disagree with me on some stuff. Some of you are going to think I'm super bullish on some stuff that you are bearish on, and vice versa. This happened with the layer one video too. Some of you gave me a lot of hate for it, but bring it on. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know in the comment section below. If you're watching this on Twitter, give it a like, give it a retweet. If you're watching on YouTube, smash the like button and drop a comment down below. I always like to hear what you guys think about it. But these are just my personal thoughts for now, whilst we're in May 2024.